With the larger threat of the far outsiders ever present in his mind, Thrawn continued to work towards a united galactic government which could be militarized in anticipation of the coming invasion. In addition to the remnants of the Empire now largely under his control, he possessed the ability to clone an army, and so was in need of ships for his new personnel. After their defeat at Sluis, Thrawn ordered his first officer, Gilad Pellaeon, to reach out to the criminal underworld and offer 20% above market value for any armed ships over 100,000 tons. With his numbers now steadily growing, Thrawn increased his attacks against the New Republic, raiding convoys along major trade routes. He also sought to destabilize their government by planting evidence against Supreme Commander Akbar, leading to his arrest on charges of treason. This then allowed for Akbar's political rival, Borsk Felia, to take command, dividing the loyalties of the defense fleet. While Thrawn was succeeding with many of his plans, he was still having trouble capturing Luke and Leia for his temporary ally, Jedi Master Joruus C'baoth. Starting to have doubts about the loyalty of the Noghri, who led the commando units, he personally went to their homeworld, where he discovered that Khabarak, one of their warriors, may have betrayed the Empire. Khabarak, having discovered that Leia was the daughter of Darth Vader, believed his loyalty must first be to the descendant of their savior, and helped her come to their planet and try to sway the Noghri against the Empire. After the arrest of the traitor, Thrawn left their world and went to Endor, searching for the Millennium Falcon. While in the system, he met with Mara Jade, who had been captured by Imperial forces, but used her former rank as the Emperor's hand to get a meeting. In an attempt to have him remove the bounty of 20,000 credits on her friend Talon Karrde, she told him that they could offer the location of the legendary Katana fleet, 200 slave-rigged dreadnoughts, which would serve him greatly in the battles ahead. Thrawn agreed to the deal, but would not leave it to chance, and so secretly tracked Mara's ship when she departed, using her to find and capture Karrde. Mara Jade, furious at his betrayal of their agreement, attacked Thrawn with her force powers. However, his Noghri bodyguard, Rook, quickly intervened and she relented. Thrawn then tried to renegotiate their deal, saying that once they gave him the information about the fleet, they'd be allowed to go free. But Mara no longer had any trust left in the Empire, believing it was not the same government she once served, and so left to go find Luke Skywalker, enlisting his help in rescuing Karrde. Although they were able to free him before he could reveal the location of the Katana fleet, Thrawn had a backup plan, tracking down a smuggler named Hofner, who also knew where they could be found. However, Talon Karrde was now working with the New Republic, and so both factions learned of the fleet's location. Yet it was the Empire's forces which arrived first, able to capture all but 15 of the ships. A battle soon erupted over the remaining vessels, but Thrawn was unable to aid his forces due to the Jedi Master Joruus C'baoth, who demanded an immediate audience and used his force powers to prevent Thrawn from leaving. As a result, the Empire lost the battle and was forced into retreat. Nevertheless, they captured the vast majority of the dreadnoughts, and so Thrawn now prepared to launch a final campaign towards victory. Although confident he would succeed, he also understood nothing was guaranteed, and so put in place a number of contingency plans in the event of his defeat. One such plan was to have a special clone of himself, prepared in a secret location, who could continue his efforts to secure the galaxy after his death. He also scattered a number of sleeper clones throughout New Republic and Imperial space, which could be used in the future as a resistance army against the far outsiders if both galactic governments should fall. With his contingencies in place, Thrawn went on the offensive, capturing the planet of Ukio and many others. With Admiral Akbar having been reinstated to his position, the New Republic regrouped and tried to counterstrike against the Empire, targeting their shipyards to slow down their manufacturing capabilities. Meanwhile, Talon Karrde was working to create an alliance of smugglers to aid the New Republic in their struggle. Thrawn, now ready to push into the core worlds, captured Emrys and laid siege to Coruscant, placing 22 cloaked asteroids around the planet, while giving the impression that there were many more, forcing them to keep their planetary defense shield activated and preventing them from leaving. In order to lift the siege, the New Republic required a crystal grav field trap, making a plan to capture one from an Imperial shipyard. While capturing Zafel, Thrawn learned of an attack against Tangreen, but suspected it was a misdirect, instead ordering his forces to the Belbringi shipyard, where the real assault was occurring. Although Imperial forces were well positioned to destroy the enemy fleet, the Smugglers' Alliance led by Talon Karrde soon arrived, and came to the aid of the New Republic. Nevertheless, Thrawn might have been victorious in this battle, had it not been for the betrayal of the Noghri. After leaving the Noghri homeworld, Leia Organa had presented evidence that the Empire had been poisoning their planet to make them dependent and keep them subjugated, and so they pledged themselves to help Leia Organa, joining Luke and Mara Jade on a mission to the planet Wayland, where they confronted Joruus C'baoth and killed the Mad Jedi. While on board the Chimera, commanding at the Battle of Bilbringi, Thrawn learned of all that had occurred on Wayland, but it was too late as his Nogri bodyguard, Rook, stabbed him through the chest. Declaring that the Nogri had been avenged, Rook tried to make his way off the ship, but was killed by Imperial forces. With Thrawn dead, Pelion had no choice but to order retreat, giving victory to the New Republic. Although the Empire continued on for a time, without a strong central ruler like Thrawn, they largely fell to infighting, and by 11 ABY had lost most of the gains achieved by the Chiss commander. In 18 ABY, Gilad Pelion led the remnants of the Empire to war once more with the New Republic, but was defeated, leading to the signing of a peace treaty the following year. Meanwhile, Thrawn's clone continued to grow, while the Empire of the Hand awaited the return of their leader, having been told that he would appear 10 years after his death. However, the clone was involuntarily destroyed by Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker when they entered the facility and activated the defense systems. The Empire of the Hand, meanwhile, attempted to go forward, honoring the legacy of Thrawn by continuing to prepare their sector of space for the invasion of the Far Outsiders. However, with their leader dead and his clone destroyed, they soon diminished in power and disbanded. And so in 25 ABY, when at last the Far Outsiders, also known as the Yuuzhan Vong, invaded the galaxy, they found only a weakened New Republic and a shattered Imperial remnant, quickly able to overpower both and bring utter devastation upon the galaxy. Many years later, in 55 ABY, as a result of all that had occurred, the Imperial partisan and polemicist Lenang Opali wrote about Thrawn and Palpatine. I am baffled by critics who accept Mithra Nuruodu's account of his discussion with Palpatine about the Far Outsiders, yet refuse to revise their opinions about either man. They ignore what Mithra Nuruodu reported Palpatine believed, that the weak Republic would be defeated by the Vong and had to be reforged into an orderly, militarized society able to resist them. They refuse to consider the possibility that the Empire's apparent brutality and ruthlessness were necessary parts of preparing for that terrible war. Why do they refuse to do so? Because that would lead them to the only logical conclusion, that Palpatine was right. Do your shopping on Amazon? Then why not use the link in the description box below to either the Canadian, American, or UK Amazon sites, where you support the channel with every purchase at no extra cost to you. So if you do your shopping on Amazon anyway, why not use the link below and help support CivilizationEx? A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sir Dayron of House Ashford, Hayaki Snowbeard, Jampo the Mad, and Jory Redblade. If you would like to help CivilizationEx, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.